Good evening.
Good evening. That's just a little taste of what we're going to be doing
A
tonight.
smidgen.
The maestro here likes to throw out little
Fool around. Right.
things like that to whet your appetite.
Right.
Anyway,
Wet. W-H-E-T.
the name of the song or the title is "What Are You Doing New Year's Eve?"
Right.
And I'm sure all of you are either making plans to go somewhere,
Yeah.
or going to have an intimate party at home, or just sit by the fire, you and your sweetie, and maybe the kids, and watch some movies until the ball drops in New York at midnight.
Intimate party at our age means you fall asleep in the chair and you miss the countdown, right?
Or you wake up just as it's hitting the bottom. So, it's fun though.
Yes.
The song tonight, "What Are You Doing New Year's Eve?" was written by Frank Loesser in 1947. And it was a popular song. And it was recorded by a number of different people. Among them was a group called the Orioles, another group called the Dante and the Evergreens,
And a great singer name.
and Nancy Wilson, who I'm
Nancy
sure
Wilson.
you all have heard of
Yeah.
before. So with that,
With that,
this will be what we are doing this evening to
Yeah.
get you ready for the big day,
Yeah.
Thursday night.
the guy in the song here is a little late, you know? I mean, it's Monday the 28th, and he needs a date. Not the best condition to be in. But,
Well, so do
and
you.
the pickings get pretty small, you know, as to who's left. But that's what some of us have to go through. So Frank Loesser and I like that, have a couple things in common. One, I grew up in Tuckahoe, New York, which is north of New York City. The area there has I was just thinking, kind of interesting structure. Directly above the city, you have Mount Vernon, then New Rochelle to the east, Yonkers to the west, and White Plains to the north. And in between are Bronxville, Eastchester, Tuckahoe, and Scarsdale. And Tuckahoe's where I grew up, in that area. What do I find out looking up Frank Loesser's history? But that he wrote for the newspaper. We had a weekly newspaper, the Tuckahoe Record. They still publish.
Wow.
And he did some political cartoons for the Tuckahoe Record.
That's
I'm
interesting.
bound to try to find out that, but I could not do it today. But I had actually done a little writing from our church's point of view that went into the Record, and a fellow who wrote a column for the Record wrote a very nice piece when we were on the Ted Mack Amateur Hour on television. Anyway, Frank, another thing about him was that he had a hard time learning to read music, as did I. Okay, I had to learn to play by ear, and so did Frank. And when Frank got to hit the big time and he was doing Broadway shows, he would hire musical secretaries, people who could write down precisely what he wanted, and that he could not do it well. And I wish I had one, you know.
Well, I could do it.
Well, yes.
Except I
You're
don't
a
read
secretary and you're
I don't
musical,
read
right?
music.
Anyway, so Frank had some, in the course of the war and later, he wrote, "Praise the Lord, pass the ammunition." That brought the wrath of some church people who didn't want you praying and firing your machine gun at the same time. There were about 6 hits from Guys and Dolls, you know. Once in Love with Amy, from Where's Charlie? Standing on the corner watching all the girls go by, from The Most Happy Fella. I really must go, but baby, it's cold outside. I think that was in a movie. Heart and Soul, I Fell in Love with You, with Hoagie Carmichael. Wonderful. And I don't want to walk without you, baby. So Frank did a lot of good stuff, okay, once he got underway. After he stopped writing political cartoons for the Tuckahoe Record, okay? So this is a major guy, and yet this tune, as Veronica said, was an indie. It was sitting there all by itself. It wasn't done for a movie or a Broadway show. And it has been kind of a signature tune that they play every New Year's, right? So we're going to do our signature and play it and sing it.
And while we're playing it and singing it,
Yeah.
you think about what you're going to do New Year's.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't, you know, straightened that out
arrangements,
already. Maybe it's much too early in the game. But I thought I'd ask you just the same. What are you doing New Year's? New Year's Eve. Wonder whose arms will hold you good and tight when it's exactly 12 o'clock at night, welcoming in the new year. New Year's Eve. Maybe it's crazy to suppose I'd ever be the one you chose. Out of 1,000 invitations you'd receive. But in case I stand one little chance, here comes the jackpot question in advance. What are you doing New Year's? New Year's Eve. Maybe it's crazy to suppose I'd ever be the one you chose. Out of 1,000 invitations you receive. But in case I stand one little chance, here comes the jackpot question in advance. What are you doing New Year's? New Year's Eve. A little touch of Robert Burns there at the end.
Yes, a little Auld Lang Syne.
We'll be wishing you all week
Yes,
a
we'll
happy
be
New
leading
Year.
up to New
Okay.
Year's Eve.
Yep.
So why don't you maybe tonight look and see what you're going to wear New Year's Eve.
We've got 4 days worth of
and
countdown.
tomorrow maybe we'll talk about some recipes for
Right.
New Year's Eve.
Right.
And
Recipes.
recipes, you know,
Get that.
little piggies and blankets.
All right, okay. A little shrimp.
A little shrimp.
Some big shrimp.
A
A little
little-
drinky.
little hummus and
hummus.
tabbouleh
Where'd the hummus
for
come-
those who like it. We don't like
Oh,
it.
no.
But anyway,
Anyway,
start thinking about it because it's going to be a
it's coming.
hopefully nice
It's
time.
coming.
And if
no
it's bad
time at
weather-
all, you're going to be trying to remember 2016.
And if it's bad weather, stay home. Don't go out.
Right.
So, good night.
Good night.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.